Holy crap, that's such a hit.
So they released their top 10 offenses. Colorado's number 8.
This moment in sports history will be remembered as one of the better fights, man. Like,
put the cherry on top, they played Austria today. Guess the score of that game? 32-25 to not medal for bronze.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Frozen the Features Podcast, episode 32. Our Shaquille O'Neal, the Big Aristotle, the Big Cactus episode. Fellas, how are we feeling?
hey, Drew's bringing the diesel to start off the episode, but it is our Sandy Koufax episode, ladies and gentlemen. We are here to deal up some takes, and damn, was there some news in sports. But Josh, how are we feeling going into what's going to be a big Sunday for you coming up? Arguably the biggest.
Honestly, it will be. And speaking of big, another big man. Again, we're on the Bill Walton episode, RIP, a real force, a guy in the booth. We're ready to cook. And he's full of fun little anecdotes and soliloquies. I don't even know what that means, but we're just going to throw it in there.
He was always talking about the Conference of Champions. I'd argue that this is the podcast of champions. Drew, get us started. How are we feeling?
Just like the peaks of Mount Hood, his podcast is the pinnacle, such as Mount Hood. I love my bike. Anyways, so let's start off. A lot of news has happened. Normally we record on Sunday, but I think it kind of worked out to the way where big news, huge news, basketball news. Luka Dončić is no longer a Dallas Maverick and is currently in the glitz and glam of Hollywood and Los Angeles Laker.
Man, you can't spell Luka without LA. And I will tell you, I think that people are a little bit crazy to say this is the biggest trade that's ever happened. I think that people are getting caught a lot in the recency bias here, but
it's a pretty big trade.
In terms of no. Hey, listen, I'm all with you in terms of being in top 5 trades of all time, right? But again, something doesn't smell right with all of this. But Josh, I'm curious to get your initial reaction. What were you thinking about the trade?
Yeah, I mean, like it's hard to think of another one that would come to mind that is just the whole mystery of the circumstance around like the whole puzzlingness of like all of this, like where it's like, oh, like LeBron didn't know, LeBron definitely knew, but like like Rich Paul kept it quiet or something or whatever, who knows, right? All that Jason Kidd just being puzzled in all the post conference stuff, like it is just a wild move, and yeah, it certainly sparks a little bit more interest in the NBA for me.
I will tell you, it's the same in my boat. I'd kind of been lacking on, diving into some of these like gritty, like Patriot League, like NCAA games. And I think I might need to tap back into the pros. Cause there was just some snake stuff that I think that happened with this deal. I mean, first off, like the piece of Michael Finley and Luka Dončić, I think just is going really, again, kind of underwritten. People are talking about their top GM. I think Michael Finley plays a lot into this too. A couple of points that I had on it. Again, it prevents Luka from getting this supermax contract. He's now out $115 million. Like the NBA put in this policy to keep guys like Luka in Dallas. Like they did this in response to Kevin Durant then jumping from team to team, right? Like LeBron jumping from team to team. Like the NBA didn't like that, so they did a rule to say, hey, pay these guys more money. And people basically just looked at it and said, no, we don't want to. And I think that, again, this Adelson family coming in, again, kudos to background and whatever it may be, but when it comes to running a sports franchise, this is their first opportunity that they're doing it. And I think that it could be hey, let's leave our imprint on the franchise. And sure, maybe some people are viewing it as a crappy move, but if they're there to see, 90s Pistons defensive basketball and they see a guy that's 275 shooting from 40 feet away, and that's not what they want, they own the damn team. Like, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, like again, like I know there was a lot of weird comparisons, and as far as like people saying like, oh, like this is a worse GMing move than most of what Jerry Jones does, but like still for me, it's still wild. Like I still think Jerry Jones is on a whole other level, and that can be what it is. I
laughed at that.
Well, and it's mainly because like the Mavericks were in the finals last year, so it's literally like if the Cowboys, God forbid it, made it all the way there, and then immediately just traded Dak Prescott away. Like it's just kind of like, why? Okay.
It just doesn't make sense.
I guess Derrick Henry's cool in the backfield, but I mean, who's going to be throwing the ball, right?
Yeah. And the thing that I was obviously, like everybody, scrolling all over social media this week and saw some graphic that, again, in 2022, the Mavericks roster had Kristaps Porzingis, Jalen Brunson, and Luka Dončić, and you walk away with Max Christie Anthony Davis and insert player here, right? And like, I mean, obviously, like we're talking about Kyrie and Clay still being on the team, right? So I think that there's a lot of interesting pieces that kind of go with it, but all of a sudden that team went from being, plus 1,800 to win the finals, now plus 4,000. And I think that public persona on the Mavs and even them going into their game tonight, they're underdogs, right? It's got all kinds of moldy, weird smells to it. I don't like it.
Yeah, which I mean, I would expect them to bounce back because it is like a professional team. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, I guess the one big hope is that with AD down in the lower end, that creates a lot of good shooting space for Clay and Kyrie. But Kyrie again can slash a little bit, and yeah, just I don't know. It's something to watch. I mean, and as far as the Lakers side of the ball, like who's playing defense? I'm very confused. It's just
Who's playing center?
Tissues. I mean, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We don't want no rebounds, no defense, just ISO ball scoring.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a figure it out after the All-Star game type of move. Obviously, the trade deadline's in 2 days, so hopefully it's not wait until the All-Star game, but we'll see. But the other piece on this whole thing is I just think that, again, when we look at the longevity of Luka and being in Dallas, right? Like he was like creeping up on being the fifth all-time scorer, which fifth on the all-time scoring list just happens to be Michael Finley. So,
Yeah, Charlie Day pictures everywhere.
I see it. No, it could just be a super small petty thing, but Michael Finley's also done petty things like this. Like
Michael Petty works too.
Michael Petty, hey, funny. But no, at the end of the Western Conference Finals last year, like there was the infamous clip where Luka's sipping a beer and he's hanging out and they're celebrating like they're going back to the finals, right? And Michael Finley sweeps by and snags the beer out of his hand and gives him a little bit of a death glare. And it's weird little petty things like that I don't know. Listen, I think at the end of the day, Luka to the Lakers is going to be a good thing for the NBA. Maybe it doesn't look good right now, but I think it's going to be a good thing for the NBA. Maybe not the best thing for the NBA, but I think it's a good thing.
Everything's good for the NBA when a superstar goes to a big market team. We've heard it all before. We get it. A small market team.
Listen,
blah, blah, blah.
I'll be the pundit, that whatever you want to call it, right? But I think that it's going to be a very fun time for Lakers fans and a very sad time for Mavericks fans. I hope they're not doing this to tank the team and pull a Fisher and try to move them, because that's some of the demon mode comments that I've read all over the internet, and I don't like that. I really don't want that to be true.
That would be wild. I don't think they can move a team out of Dallas.
I hope not.
Jerry Jones wants to move the Mavericks out of Dallas because there can only be football in Dallas, Texas.
Jerry Jones wants to install sunlight.
Let's start with curtains first.
Jerry Jones, but that's enough of the pros. So let's go on to college basketball, one of our favorite sports to talk about. So I'll go to our savant here in the bleachers, Jake. You've been diving in. You've been talking
built like a trapezoid.
Hey, listen, we've been grinding. We've been on some conference watch this week, but frankly, a lot of what we've got to talk about this week is just the top 25 moving around because it has been tumultuous. Let's talk about some of the teams that have dropped first before we go crazy and celebrate, right? But two of the teams right now just both happen to come out of Mississippi. One of them being Ole Miss. Ole Miss has just been on a plummet ride. They are now all the way down to 25. They're 5-4 in January. They lost to Mississippi State, Texas A&M, Mizzou, and then lost to Auburn yesterday. It's been a tough ride. Granted, they might have the hardest strength of schedule for the end of the season here. So I hope that they get a little bit of like a, kind of committee boost and saying like, damn, they might have 9 or so losses at the end of the year, but they might need to get in because the SEC is that much of a dog conference right now.
Well, let's see. 7 of their last like at least 6 teams they played are ranked. That's
what I'm saying.
Gauntlet.
It's a canonic drop. And Drew, it goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of the year. Like the SEC is so good that there might be a team that I'm not exaggerating when I say 9 losses in the SEC might make the tournament. And that is just insane to me. And it's going to be because strength of schedule. It might be because they win a random, kind of like SEC champion or not SEC championship, but an SEC tournament game, right? It's going to be very fun to watch. And if you are watching Ole Miss for the rest of the year, Sean Padula has been one of my favorite players to watch. Reminds me very much of Peyton Pritchard. Like if he's open, he's drilling a three. He's kind of got a nice little savvy pass
Oh,
game to him, but huge on the defensive end.
Peyton Pritchard. Oh my
I
God, such
know
a thorn.
it get Yeah, it gives Drew nightmares, but
Oh
again,
yeah.
damn good player, damn good player. And the other team that dropped big this week was Mississippi State. Obviously, they did have that win that I mentioned against Ole Miss a few minutes ago, but they've dropped 8 spots and they're now at 22. So they're 4-5 in January. Again, just testament to how much of a gauntlet the conference actually is, because they lost to Kentucky, Auburn, Tennessee, Alabama, and Mizzou, and all of those opponents are in the top 20. So, like, again, all of these losses that these teams that are towards the bottom of the top 25, like, again, the tournament is going to get 64 teams in, right? And 32 of them are made up by your conference champions. The other 32 and change are made up by, just kind of the other fillers from the better teams in the nation. So I've just been on a big ranking watch because I think that there's going to be one of these teams that has just we're never going to see. This is going to be the first time that we've ever seen a team that has 8 or 9 losses in the tournament. That is something that I'd be willing to say.
I just want some wild, darling, Southland Conference team to be in there instead of some SEC 9 loss. And I just want them to be angry and just have a reason to fire off a bunch of angry tweets because,
Hey,
why not?
listen, and in years past, I am totally in your camp. Like I'm the guy that watches Patriot League so that I can find out that Colgate is going to be good so that when they're a 15 seed, they might be a dog, right? So
Yep.
in this year, I don't know why I don't feel like that, right? Like it's just, there's some of these teams that are just playing just competitive ass basketball. And like sometimes they're getting, shoved by Auburn, who again, only team with 1 loss in the entire country and leading on offensive and defensive sides of the ball is just boy, they're going to be a scary, scary team.
Yeah.
But the two other teams that are big in terms of moving up in the rankings, and Josh, I'll save for the third. I'll leave that as a little teaser for everybody. But
Ooh.
the two with big movement have been St. John's, who we've been huge on since the start of the year, and then Memphis as well, which is awesome to see. St. John's 7-0 in January, beating up the Big East. They have a huge game versus Marquette today. It might even be over, but I don't want to ruin it for myself. I have it in a little parlay, so we'll see. But they have a huge game against UConn again on Friday. So this is going to be a weird year for the Big East. Again, always been kind of a better college basketball conference for us. But if they split the series that they have with Marquette and UConn coming up in the last, I think it's 9 games, they finish, let's 7-2 on the year. They might be a 3 or 4 seed in the tournament, and that might be just a little bit too high, in my opinion. I'd like to see them a little bit more of that 5-6 just to feel comfortable, but because that 5-12 always gets scary. I feel like is that the one that's the most common of like the bracket busters?
I think so.
Oh, the 5-12
Yeah,
matchup. Yeah. And 6 and
yeah,
11.
Mm-hmm.
there, yeah, yeah. So I would have liked to see
7, 8,
them.
9.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun year, but I think with St. John's, the cool piece that I kind of looked into their team a little bit is that they have 5 players that are averaging over 9 points a game, led by RJ Luis, who's a 6'7" junior guard. They've got a really long defensive team, but a team that can pretty consistently put up points. So definitely going to be excited to watch them for the rest of the year. And then Memphis, Penny Hardaway. We've been talking about it. We love it. Run the American with me. 7-1 in January, 3-1 versus AP opponents this year, and they're going to coast until the end of the year. I think that they're going to have probably an 8-1 record, probably leading into the last 9 games, and they're being led by PJ Haggerty, who is just sprinting in points this year. Drew, what do you got?
Jake, what would you guess Memphis' seed in the tournament would be if they're going to be able to
Well,
coast down
Memphis is going to
this?
win the conference. I think that unless they get absolutely sniped by somebody in the American,
North
bracketology
Texas.
piece, but right, yeah, North Texas is going to come out of nowhere. They are a good team though. Watch out. I did say it earlier, but I think that if they win their conference, they're going to get probably pushed down with some of these teams that, again, with strength of schedule, with having more points scored per game, more rebounds, defensive efficiency, trapezoid excellence, all these media words I could throw at you. I would project them to probably be more in like that like let's call it 6 to 9 range. Nice. Because it's going to be, you're going to have to give a team like even like an Alabama who might not even win the SEC, but is still a top 5 team in the nation. Like they're going to have to be a probably 2, 3, 4 seed. That's probably going to, notch them down a little bit. But Memphis is a really exciting team, dude. I don't know if you guys watch PJ Haggard, fourth in the nation points right now. So he's mowing,
Exciting,
mowing.
man.
Well,
Josh, let's talk about our next team that
Ooh,
that may have jumped up in the rankings a little bit.
just a little bit, just a little unranked
Mm-hmm.
to what is it? A sneaky little 20.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
not a big deal.
Yeah,
B.
no, just a nice little upset victory at home against Iowa, where we're favored, of course, because why would we be not why we ever not be favored on in McHale? And then we went to ASU and handled our business there, and yeah, it was a controversial ending, and Bobby Hurley, we still what are we doing over there? You know what I mean? The guy took the tie off and everybody cheered, and I literally felt so I it was so just there was so much secondhand embarrassment for that whole just
Yeah.
program and that whole university. But yeah, Jake, what do you got?
Well, listen, the Arizona Wildcats are turning out to be the little engine that could, if you will, this because we went from having just an absolute canonic slide to being on just an upward trajectory, and I am loving every single second of it. Caleb Love being on a wooden watch, suck it, Bobby. But the fact that we're in the 25, I think it's just a moment to really kind of rejoice because again, big win against Iowa State. Like the Caleb Love shot is going to go down as probably a top 3 moment in regular season Arizona basketball history. That is just I was
Oh,
screaming, ripped my shirt off. It was the one of the coolest moments I can remember watching from my couch for Arizona basketball, no doubt.
oh yeah, I was ready to just tucker it in for the night, and he smacked that shot, and I immediately needed to go grab another beer. I was like, oh, we're locked in now. And then yeah, he checked himself twice, and it was just whew, we just down the stretch, and it's crazy for that because they just were like they really gutted it out against ASU, and they almost did the same here. But yeah, like it just that McHale magic sometimes. Woohoo!
Hey, and even when we went against ASU and again that Iowa State game for us, like those are 2 games that just give us a ton of momentum. And I think, frankly, like what I needed to see out of this Arizona team was just building confidence because I think
Yeah.
that like you can always be in blind pursuit of the confidence, right? But you got to show up at some point. Like you got to be able to again goes back to my favorite quote, Drew. You love when I say it. I'd rather go 0 for 30 than 0 for 9 because 0 for 9 means to stop shooting. Like I want to be able to have you see like again, Caleb Love in that game against Iowa State, I believe was 1 of 8, 2 of 8 before he hits that huge shot. And then Josh, to your point, goes 2 of 2 in overtime. Like dog,
Yeah,
like that's what I'm
it's
talking
clutched
about.
up.
Yep. So
The
Arizona basketball.
Exactly. They just continue to build. I mean, and they're honestly they're getting high up on that savviness rating for me because they just seem to be unfazed with a lot of what's getting thrown at them, and they just continue to their game. Tommy is going to coach him into doing, and yeah, he's pressing the right buttons, and it's our year. It's always our year, except it's never our year, but it's always our year. So
It's
you know,
always our year. Come on.
I've oh man, what is it? This is going to be our first year in the Big 12 tournament.
Yes,
Whew.
sir.
Yeah, Kansas City Big 12 tournament. Let's
I
all
love it.
go. Let's just pack up. But I want to look
See
ahead.
barbecue.
I want to we want to overlook BYU game because I think
No.
we'll beat BYU. And then look, that'll come back to
Knock
haunt me
on
somehow.
BYU's a smidge scary. I do think that we have tonight in hand, but they are a smidge scary.
Oh no, I
Hey,
know. And then
You don't go into Provo and leave without getting some scars, man. You gotta be careful around there.
yeah, John Smith ghost will haunt me after I assume a win. But next week we're back at McHale. Well, not next week, but this Saturday, right before the Super Bowl, we rematch against Texas Tech after we lost 70-54. That's going to be a
Mhm.
huge rematch. Caleb Love, keep up that same energy because we didn't have that same Caleb Love against that first game. Over 5 from 3 and then 13 from the field. So hopefully he continues his hot streak and we can just ascend to back in the top 10 where we normally belong.
Yeah,
Like
like I know that our like school's catchphrase is bear down, but I want cats up. I want us to keep going up until the number hits one. So let's keep rocking, let's keep rolling. But damn, these Drew, to your point, that Texas Tech game is going to be something that I will be sweating, and I hope to have another Caleb Love go freaking crazy moment. So let's see what's up.
Please do, please do. Would love to have that. And let's go on to, well, Josh, Jake, do we have any more closing? Jake, did you want to touch on some other Frozen sports before we transition?
We can jump into a little the world of the ice hockeys, if you will. But frankly, I think that there was another kind of underwritten trade that went on. Obviously, the Luka news kind of stole everything, and there have been a ton of other pieces that have come from it. But Vancouver just being able to add depth and shipping JT Miller to the Rangers, I think that that's something that is just again when we talk about star players going into star markets, like that is good for the NHL. I think it's scary for the teams that are out east and they're they might be at the top of their division now, but they might need to be looking down and seeing what's up. Drew, how are you feeling as a Caps fan?
Feeling great. The past two games, not too excited because we clawed and scratched our way back to send it to overtime against the Jets.
Huge one.
Alexander Ovechkin from the top of the point snipes it to be able to send it to overtime, but we lose. So that's big tough, but the goal chase is still on. Still very exciting team to watch. I believe we pay the Panthers tonight. I hope it's 2-2 all. So that'd be another huge win against another gritty team, championship team. So hopefully we still stay up at the top and yeah, like you mentioned that there's trades, like we saw the Miko Rantanen just got shipped off to Carolina. New York just got JT Miller, and I was kind of hoping New York would just be terrible because there's nothing more that I love than Ranger tears. But
Hmm.
no, it's been exciting. So
Well, to your point on Rangers tiers, they've been incredibly average this year. They basically have the exact same record home and away. And I feel like when you start getting into this point in the season, and like it's fun when you're, one of the better teams and you can see, hey, we've have that home ice advantage, or hey, we're a dog team on the road. For them, there just hasn't really been like that moment of, oh my, we've got it. They're 5-3-2 in their last 10. I think that there's going to be a true winner out of this trade, like whether the Rangers truly get all of the value out of Miller, or the Vancouver getting Chittle, and they're able to really be able to again kind of chip away and hopefully get themselves back into a better spot in where they should be. But the Pacific is going to be really hard, man. The Metro might be the hardest, but the Pacific is going to be really hard too.
oh yeah.
hey, Josh, the Kings, not too bad, not too shabby either. Just picked up another win.
Oh yeah, they're slaying when they're at home and they're scratching and clawing when they're away. But yeah, it's tough headhunting these two top divisions. I mean, you're competing against Connor McDavid and literally a roster that's why are you spending so much money, Vegas?
Why you spend
It's,
so much money?
yeah, what's going on over there? And so yeah,
FCR,
we're just
FCR,
yeah,
FCR.
we just gotta try to fight off those sinking flames up in Calgary and yeah, the Canucks obviously are making moves and they're climbing. So the Pacific it's a dogfight in there.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. I think that obviously big playoff coming up for a lot of teams looking for some redemption, a lot of them looking to just get back into it, right? But big last third of the season that we got here for sure.
Ain't that the truth? And Josh, we'll pass it back to one more basketball that I wanted you to touch on before we transition.
I mean, we have just been observing a sneaky little Cavs cover again. I think it's in their last three games they've covered, and yeah, it's just a nice little wiggly grab when you're just sneaking around some parlays. I mean, they're currently playing the Celtics right now, which obviously we took them against the Celtics. Like, chill out. Celtics are scary. Celtics are scary, and yeah, they're kicking their butts right now, like by 18 points, I think. So, excluding this game, well, as we continue on though, yeah, they've been sneaky parlay covering.
Hey, Cavs are going to be a scary team, right? I feel like they could be one of those teams that, again, I don't want to call it like a regular season glory, postseason horror story, right? But I feel like their roster really needs to be able to, again, they've been able to put up great wins, but it's wins against these teams, like against the Celtics, you know what I mean? Where they can drop elbows on teams like that on a random Tuesday, Wednesday night, right? So it'll be interesting.
Which I think they beat them a couple times previously this season, but
Keep
yeah,
grinding.
keep grinding.
Ain't that
It's
right?
too long of a season.
82 games. Oh, low management. Anyways, so let's go on to our next segment. Now, it's the new year, and hopefully you guys are sticking to your resolutions and what have you not. But love is in the air, fellas. Love is in the air. Valentine's Day is coming up, but guess what? You are not my Valentine. Bobby Hurley, Arizona State. We all have it. You are not our Valentine. You got stood up.
Yep.
You had some flowers, got the chocolate, and guess what? Nobody showed because nobody loves you.
Oh, Drew, you got me, and I love it because he's just not, and there's really nothing to love about everything that happened besides Caleb Love. But I think that realistically, when it comes down to everything surrounding around the U of A ASU game, it was just a classless move, right? The fact that
Oh
you're going to
yeah.
walk off our court and then, or I'm sorry, walk off the court and not shake hands, bro. This is one of the best rivalries in sports, right? And I get it. You got shoved, and I'm going to say it with my chest that it's one of the best rivalries in sports because I think that for as much as football was really your territory, get the hell off my hardwood. You are not my Valentine. Let's break up, bitch.
Absolutely. I mean, we're on the same wavelength. I mean, yeah. Listen, from him removing his tie to sending his team away early, to then having to have five of his starters come back because the game wasn't over and they had to inbound the ball, which again continues to just prove he's such a freaking embarrassment. And yeah, it's just, what are we doing? I mean, it was even just a shock to talk about the controversial ending there, where like why was Caleb Love ejected? Like what for talking shit
Talking
after
back, yeah.
he literally got headbutted. Like, can we just have a little bit of I don't know, use your noggin here and think a little bit? Like, my guy might be a little bit emotional after getting smacked in the head by another guy's head. Like, come on, it's a rivalry game. Everybody's fired up. Just a
Yeah.
BS ejecting.
Guys can't talk smack. They give Jaden Bradley a technical for looking at the bench. I mean, it was just soft officiating all around.
Yeah.
Hey, refs are watching because again, best rivalry in sports. Bobby Hurley, you are not my Valentine. Grow up.
Yep.
Ain't that right? All right, let's go on to our next segment. The Super Bowl is this Sunday. As we mentioned earlier, Josh is cheeky and his ears are perked up and he is excited to watch his bird go into the Super Bowl to fight the Chiefs. So you guys have conjured up some bets because you are the betting savants as well in the bleachers. So let's hear it. Oh, come on. You're always studying. Maybe you don't always get to that 50% or above, but
Hey, listen, savant means that you know the answer every time in every situation. Josh, I love you.
Enthusiast.
We don't know the answers every time, but damn it, we're gonna put in the work, you know. So
We just try to amass like one war a season. That's all.
yeah, come on. Let's make it this one, right? Like the Super Bowl is one of those times where again, for anybody who is a fan of gambling, whether you are like us and you're watching every little game and watching every down and maybe even going back to the replay to watch that pass shift just to see that one little extra edge, right? Or you're the person that's just watching for Gatorade, right? We came together, we came up with some good ideas coming into the Super Bowl, but I would feel rude, even though I want to be talking about my team in the Super Bowl. I have to hand it to the man with the team competing. Josh, take us away. What are some of your top feelings going into the Super Bowl this year?
So I've been diving into the data, and we have. I listen. Jake and I here we divulge here a little bit, but I'll be hopping on the tails. Obviously, tails has flipped once in the past four Super Bowls. If we have expand that out to the past eight Super Bowls, though, it's a straight 4-4. So literally to say that stats don't matter because it's a 50-50 shot. We're literally betting on a coin flip, and so I'm riding tails.
Hey, and I like the logic, but I am one of those hot and cold betters, baby. We're riding heads, 1-4. I don't believe, or 1-3. I don't believe it. I want heads. It's one of those just gut feel. And again, I think it's a great bet where if you are watching this with friends, family, again, of any kind of fan nature, have like a little bingo card sheet, have some of them that have heads on it, have some of them have tails on it. Perfect way to get the party started.
Absolutely. And yeah, from there, some of my more sneaky value plays. I just listen. I just want to put a little warning out there for people to just not get honey dicked by the Saquon Barkley MVP Super Bowl bets. Listen, it could happen, but he probably I don't know. I think if he runs for 200 yards and gets 2 or 3 touchdowns, then yeah, it's probably a lock. But realistically, I mean, it is a quarterback win award league. That's 100% what it is. And so, if Jalen Hurts has anything more than 1 or 2 touchdowns and the Eagles win the game, then there's sneaky value there because he's not the favorite at Eagle. I think he's literally second behind Saquon. So there's a little value there. If you're really thinking about like, I'm going to take Kansas City to win, which how dare you? But I get it. But you also kind of want to hedge your bets along the lines of like, well, what'll happen then? I think the Saquon MVP, I mean the Jalen Hurts MVP bet there could be a sneaky little play.
And just to play the opposite side of the coin here, because it wouldn't be a fun podcast if we weren't. I think that when it comes to the MVP side, frankly, I think that this game is going to be so offensively controlled that, Josh, to your point, it's going to come down to the quarterback that not only wins the game, but it's going to be to the one that just has the sexier stats. And I think that at this point, you've seen it in the last 2 Super Bowls. We've seen it for the last couple of years. I do think Mahomes is most likely walking out of here with the MVP. It's not fun. I won't be parlaying it with anything, and I won't be putting a ton of stock into it just in case we get screwed. But it could be the easiest money you ever made. So again, let me go down with Mahomes being the MVP.
Yeah, I mean he is the favorite on the money, so I think it's like plus 110 or something.
Right, exactly. Could be the easiest money you ever made, but it also could not be fun too. So we'll see.
We're just hitting check downs. And then if you want to look smart in front of your family or in front of all the other people around you, the Eagles first half money line parlayed with the Chiefs money line to win the full game. The Chiefs have, I think, in the last 2 Super Bowls that they've been in, they have not won in the half, but then have won the game outright. So if you really want to call your shot there and sniff yourself a little bit here, I think that's one little sneaky play you can. But again, I don't. Kansas City's not going to win. I hope they don't win.
Hey, but I like that you're playing into sneaky plays that aren't with you, like it could be the reverse jinx. It could be the verse not double jinx, like there's something there to it. I see what you're doing.
Oh, I mean, of course. So, you got one hand out to the public and behind you, you have just sneaky amount of Eagles alt spreads that you're just absolutely riding into the sunset. And so that'll take us into our player props. Which for me, I mean, I think there's a lot of sneaky value there for Devontae Smith. He had 100 yards in the last Super Bowl, and I think the only similarity that we can't see is that again, if they mostly play zone, which I think they might, because I think the Chiefs were getting burnt a lot on man through most of this postseason, then Devontae Smith is the zone guy. He'll sneak around, and then the gotta have it guy is AJ Brown. So there, I think there's more value there to take an AJ Brown touchdown than there is to take any sort of yards there. I also would take completions as well for AJ Brown because again, if you got to have it, you got to have it. But for Smith, he's going to be a guy that's going to sneak underneath, find the holes in the zone, and again, he's got a good bit of yard after reception. So he's a sneaky little guy. And then obviously the tight end props. Everybody's got to be riding them. Depending on the value, I mean, for yards, you might need to be a little more careful with Kelsey, but for receptions, I think as long as you're not getting anywhere near like an 8, because it's so boom or bust when you look at his stats. Like he's either got 4 targets, 2 receptions, or he's got 12 targets and 8 receptions. So anywhere from a sneaky 6, 7, 5. Woo. And then for Goddard, yeah, I like yards because they design him into open space to get contact, to hit people, to wear the defense down, because sometimes Saquon's got to tap the helmet and go out and take a little break. But yeah, Saquon longest rush, home runs, he's a home run hitter. The guy gets into space, which is the Eagles O-line, gets him there. And a lot of what you have seen for him too has in this, especially this postseason, has been boom or bust, where he's getting, especially in that Washington game, it was either 3 yards or it was a touchdown. That was more or less what was happening. It was 1 to 3 yards or it was a touchdown. And yeah, from there, Patrick Mahomes rushing yards. He's a different guy in the playoffs.
Look at you. Look at you.
He uncorks it. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've seen with the Vic Fangio defense is that they very much are okay with letting the quarterback run and try to get those yards because they're going to make you work continuously down the field to try to fish for those mistakes that could happen. And yeah, they're probably going to be cool with letting Patrick run for a little bit until they start designing a way to contain him. So then it just becomes, how's the pass rush doing? But yeah, I like his rushing yards.
I think that there are a few in there that I definitely like a lot. I like the science behind the some one of the guys receptions, one of the guys yards, right? Like again on the Kelsey side, like I think that if you start getting a little bit too high, when people are going to get trapped by an 8 receptions or something like that because they just it's like when you're playing NCAA or Madden, you're just spamming it to your top guy. You're just like, damn it, make it happen, catch
Yeah.
ball. But I think that there is a Eagles have a really sneaky defense with that. I think that when it comes to that kind of Eagles wide receiver pair, I do like the idea of Devonta Smith just being able to break one and going for yardage. I think his yardage was what? It was something at like 50 something, right, Josh?
Yeah, it normally hovers around the 50s or 40s, which they're depending on the week. If it's his week, you can sneak a lot of those pretty
And I
pretty
think that
easily.
he's probably going to get, let's call it 4 targets and let's call it 3 catches. And I don't know. I
I
like that one.
mean,
That's got a little
yeah,
sauce to it.
if it's anything like the Washington game where they're letting Hurts uncork it a little bit, then they're probably going to do that because I think there is certainly some sort of narrative that you could make that like, yeah, people were talking bad about Jalen Hurts for the most of the whole season just behind Saquon, and like, yeah, Saquon's going to get his, but if you don't worry about Jalen Hurts and he just can dice you up, which he could easily do, and he did previously a couple of years ago outside of that fumble touchdown, um, who knows?
Yeah. Hey, oh, yeah, yeah. I almost feel nervous for you a little bit, but when it
Oh,
comes
tell
to
me. Ugh.
yeah,
Ugh.
it's gonna be heaving. But when it comes to my side, I think that a couple of the player props that I'm looking into, one of the thoughts that I'm taking into this is that we have two of the best players at their positions going into this, right? And we're talking about the tight end position and the running backs position, specifically with Saquon and Travis Kelsey, right? Everyone, and I mean everybody, is going to be looking just to the high heavens. First touchdown, anytime touchdown, 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. But what if I told you that you could go with an anytime touchdown scorer that's most likely going to have better odds than almost any of those bets? And I'm with Justin Watson, the backup tight end for the Chiefs, anytime touchdown. And I'm saying it now. And Drew, you can laugh at me all you want, but there have been plenty of times where I've watched Kansas City Chiefs games this year, and you look at which tight end caught the ball in the end zone, and you assume that it's Kelsey, right? He's the only one that could possibly be the one that gets open. Justin Watson gets open, man, and he gets open on random little 3 yard outs. And I think that because the Chiefs might struggle to run in like, that let's call it the inside 10 yard line when we start getting into the red zone and whatnot, because they have a great defense. And even though they have Kareem Hunt and we talked about Samaje Perine and they've got this like weird running back depth, I think it's going to be hard for them to run the ball. So I see random play action passes. Give me a little just little dot pass, maybe even a behind the pack pass one because it's Patrick Mahomes, right? But I like Justin Watson to get in the end zone. And on the other side of the ball, right? Saquon Barkley is the been the bell cow all year. Some are saying he should win the MVP. Give me Kenneth Gainwell to score a touchdown because I think that their offense can be just slippery enough to where maybe they even see an option. We start seeing some like really gross stuff in that offense. And I think that Kenneth Gainwell might be used in a random, again, you mentioned Saquon moment, be able to get him in. And who knows? He's got a little bit of a burst. He's slippery.
Yeah, he is. He's a good downhill guy. I mean, again, the big thing that you're betting on right now is whether or not he'll be cleared because he did have a concussion, but I think he's been at practice. And the other thing, I think he had a pop-up knee injury. So
Oh,
uh who knows? We'll have to see how he is there. But again, Will Shipley's the other backup, and he's definitely not going to be listed anywhere. So you could probably sneak that little a player not listed here, which is always like a quiet little plus 600, and just
okay.
hope that hope that you catch somebody napping.
Hey, all right. Hey, listen, sometimes I just need to tap in with an Eagles veteran and then I know what's going on, right? But my other very hard bet that I'm running into this year, and I've been wrong about these in the past, but for some reason I'm just feeling nicey with it. I want the Gatorade color to be yellow. That's the prop. I just put it in. Just we're not parlaying any of these pieces. We're just taking them a bunch straight. We're trying to go for profitability here. So again, give me Gatorade color yellow. I heard it's Travis's favorite, so a little bit of an inside source there.
Oh,
Hmm. And there's going to be no proposal. I really hope there's no proposal. At least there might be another athlete that proposes. Kudos, but I just let's leave the football to the football.
what if there's some random couple out there proposing, Jake? You
Hey,
just have no for blanket proposals.
hey, listen. If I can get a no Travis Kelsey proposal versus a yes any other proposal, who knows? Shit,
Yeah.
I might do over half a proposal just for fun. That's what I got for you, Drew. What about you? Anything you got feeling going into the Super Bowl?
I
The
mean,
big game?
you guys pretty much picked all the bets for the game. I haven't gotten a word in edgewise. Um, but I have nothing nice to say. The commercials will be awesome. No, no,
Well, I'm
no.
glad that we didn't have you chime in. No, I'm just kidding.
No, no, no. I only have one bet. It's my favorite bet because when you do see it happen, you gotta get out of your seat when you do. I'm gonna go with a non QB to throw a touchdown. That's always my favorite. You know, I don't think the Eagles will end up doing that because that's not really their style. But it's the Chiefs could very well likely pull that off. We saw it last year with Christian McCaffrey throwing a pass to Rashad Jennings
Hmm.
for a touchdown, and I lost my mind. So I think the Chiefs are able to get a non QB to throw a touchdown, and I'm gonna guess they're gonna get freaky. Probably won't happen, but Travis Kelce to Patrick Mahomes
All
touchdown.
right. Look at that. Okay.
Um, I think that'll be freaky. So probably gonna be plus 1,000 odds if I had to imagine. Whether it hits or not, but when it does, oh, you'll be howling.
There we go. All
I
right.
do like it because I could see again if the Chiefs for some reason were just as good at stopping the Bills as they are the Eagles on some of those tush pushes. I could see some of those wild little weird and funky little things that they do, which I don't know if they're going to hand it off and somebody else is going to throw it besides Jalen Hurts because you kind of just would rather him hold the ball
For
because
sure.
he's a dual threat athlete. But yeah, no, I still like it.
Oh, and
Jake
Jalen
Elliott, I'm looking at
Hurts,
you.
2 touchdowns at least in the game because he's a vulture.
Oh, so rush it. You want Jalen 2 rushing.
Yeah, I think that's what will
Ooh.
happen. Yeah.
Okay. All
I
right.
think
Hey,
they'll chip away with
Okay.
Saquon, and you'd be like, "Well, I guess I'm ready to get pushed in between between 300-pound men. So let's do it." So I give me
okay. I
Jalen
like
two
it.
touchdowns.
Hey, play to win the game.
Hmm.
You play to win the game. All right. That was our NFL talk. And let's go to our favorite segments, our normal segments. Nothing new here. Our bench replay. Who are we benching? Who are we playing? I'm playing, as always, commercials, like I mentioned earlier, Bud Light. Bud Light is so back. I don't know if you guys saw it, but Shane Gillis and Post Malone. We're going full in on the dad energy. Lawnmowers,
So
grills,
sick.
fresh cut grass, colonoscopies, as mentioned earlier. Uh, yeah, Shane Gillis, Post Malone, they were in the Bud Light commercial with Peyton Manning. It was so funny. I don't know if you guys did see it when I did send it, but
Oh yeah. I did
yeah.
see it, and I saw that they even did like a different version of the commercial where it's Post Malone and Shane Gillis sitting there, and they're like outside in the driveway with the Bud Light cooler by them, and he's like, "Oh, you can't drink a beer while you're watching while you're at a beer. You can't drink a beer while you're." It's like, 3,
3, 2,
2, 1. Oh, it's so good. I love it.
Uh,
and then Peyton Manning and jorts. I never knew that was something I needed in my life, and so happy I saw it. He's like, how many beers you
So
fit on
good.
that thing?" When they brought out their grill lawnmower cooler, I thought that was sick. So I might have to switch back to Bud. I might switch to Bud Light as far as my light beer beverage of choice because that it sold me
Hey,
pretty
they're
hard.
back.
So
They're
back.
back through.
what are you rocking right now? Still bushes?
No, I know you don't like this beer, but Miller Lite, that's usually my go-to. I do have a
Bleh.
Let's
Modelo
go.
in the fridge. Um,
Ooh,
Only drink if you're over the age of 21. Please don't demonetize. Anyways,
loving it.
so yeah,
There's apple juice.
that was my play. And then my bench. My bench is paying to go see NFL Pro Bowl games. I can't imagine why anybody would want to pay money to see flag football or the
Awful.
Bosa speed walk during a challenge where you're supposed to go really fast for the sprint. Um, yeah, I just don't get it. Would you guys pay to see Pro Bowl games if it was in
Absolutely
Vegas?
not.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Would I pay? No. Would I find ways to get tickets for free and then go?
Yeah,
Possibly.
I would check it out once, you know what I mean? But I'm not paying like it's still in Hawaii, right? Like I'm not paying to go to
No,
Hawaii to
I
go
think it's
watch the
Isn't it?
pro.
Orlando.
It's always in Orlando. Yeah.
Oh, wait, wasn't it in Hawaii at some point though? Or am
Well,
I making
yeah,
that up?
when they actually played the game, and then I
Mhm.
think maybe
Yeah.
5 years or so ago, more they
Oh,
moved it to
okay.
Orlando.
Yeah.
Um,
Weak. I'm out.
yeah, but
Yeah.
no,
I mean,
I
like,
heard.
unless you're like my mom, where she's just vacation at Disney World, and then she's like, "Oh, the Pro Bowl's here. Okay, I'll just roll in and go." And then I'm like, well, "How was that?" She was like, "It was fine." I'm like, "Oh,
All
okay."
right.
Yeah, but I heard I heard it was cool back in the when the Pro Bowl was in Hawaii. The players were like all at the hotel, and then like maybe you stayed at that same hotel. You see like I don't know, like
Right.
Tom Brady, Peyton
Larry
Manning,
Fitzgerald,
Adrian
whatever.
Peterson, Larry Fitzgerald, like those type of guys. So yeah, benching the Pro Bowl, and then I'm also benching that Luka doesn't get his super max of $345 million. So we already touched on that, but so
So
yeah,
ridiculous. Oh,
and
I
that'll
hate.
lead us to Jake.
Yeah, I'll touch on your bench again. I losing $115 million like that has just got to be
It's disgusting.
so so messed up. Anyways, all right. For my play this week, I'm going to be going with Bobby Hurley's stats while he's been at ASU. Let's just break this down for you. All right. In
Elbow.
three in 307 ASU games coaching as of recording today, he is 167 and 140. That's pretty mid. It's above 500, but I'd say that's pretty mid. Now you're probably saying, oh, like how many times have they been to the tournament? How many times have they gone deep? How many times they won the conference? They've been to the tournament three times. There's never been a season finish in the top 25. Their best season was in 2018, 2019 when they went 23 and 11. So again, all that I'm saying here is Bobby Hurley, suck an egg. I am absolutely playing the stats moving forward forever and always. But my bench, unfortunately, it's got to go to our boy Justin Tucker. I saw just an awesome tweet that ended up popping up, and in the sense of where there was this guy that was really
I don't
believing
know if
in
you want to
Justin
go our
Tucker.
boy.
Yeah, I got
We do
sorry,
not claim Justin Tucker as our
yeah, we
boy.
don't
He's
claim Justin
Absolutely.
Tucker. Yeah,
not
no,
allowed
no,
in the
no. Okay.
bleachers.
Yeah,
Our
come on.
non-problematic white quarterback Joe Flacco still clean though.
There we go.
Okay.
So, anyways, saw an awesome tweet to where it was this guy about a year ago that was saying no rape allegations, no betting scandals, no arrest, no drama. Graduated from UT. Justin Tucker, great dude. And then he quote tweeted it, and he just went okay. And it was the day when everything came out. So again, definitely gotta just bench that energy. It's 2025. We support everybody. Come on, grow up. Unbelievable.
Yeah, don't be getting unsolicited rubs.
Come on, not needed. Nobody wants that.
Uh,
Unsolicited.
And in other news, I'll be moving on. My play is opening up the wagon. I obviously am an Eagles fan, and normally, people can bogart their teams and be a little grumpy, but I'm more the merrier kind of guy. Listen, if you're here and you're rooting for the Eagles, then we'll have no problems. If you're here not, then you should leave.
I'll
But
walk.
yeah, listen, it was just a meme it was stolen from Instagram. It's on Reddit, and it's just basically the pivotal fight of the end of Lord of the Rings, where all the armies are descending on all the good characters, and the bad guys obviously are Kansas City, and all the other coalition of good forces are all the other NFL teams who are like, oh, the Eagles are here, and then the Eagles came in because obviously we're trying to stop the three-peat. So yeah, don't be a hater and root for the dynasty. And also listen, on the side note, also what I'm going to play is I've been the most popular guy at work. I work with a lot of Raiders fans, and man, do they hate the Chiefs. So here we go. Let's go,
Hey,
Raiders.
good energy, I guess, for you. Happy that work's loving you for it.
Oh yeah,
Until you win the Super Bowl, no, they might not love you for it. But the
yeah.
reality of beating the Chiefs, it might be, good for them. Who knows?
I'm like, maybe next year, and they're always just like they just turn around and walk away. They don't even want to talk about their own team.
They're just like, nope, I'm out.
Yep.
Yeah, don't know who we're gonna draft or who's gonna play quarterback. But Raiders. All right, let's go on to the next segment. Worst or best tweet? I got a tweet. I got a lot, so I'm gonna go as quick as I can. But high schooler Ramadan Don Law, high schooler did an in-game windmill dunk. That kid and the person who also was on the posterizing of that dunk, I'm sorry, but if that's you, if that's your kid, you're like, you can't play basketball anymore. You're done. You're off the team. No more. You can't come
Yeah.
back from that. But yeah, windmill
Uh,
posters in game in a high school. That's insane.
That's crazy.
Insane town. But I'll
What
go
a bounce.
to yeah, right. Wish I could jump that high. Let's go. And then my next one, Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid has dominated the company's unlimited PTO. Joel Embiid in his career has played 446 games and has missed 400 games. And a lot of that chunk is when God, what was it, 2 years when he got drafted in like 2014 and didn't come in until like 2016 and really started playing.
Something like
So.
that.
But man, this guy just cannot play basketball. I think you should just make a business decision. Just retire, dude. Like he's gonna probably be miserable when he's in his 60s and 50s because man can't stay healthy. Cannot stay
I mean,
healthy.
in fairness, though, like he can play basketball. He just
Yeah.
can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
You can play basketball, just not for a long time. So
Yep. Yep.
That's what it's looking like.
And then my next tweet was it was a from the famous movie of Scarface with Tony Montano doing a deal of some sorts,
This was so
and
good.
they're laughing, and it's a Dallas area orthopedic surgeons finding out the Mavs are starting the AD,
Oh
Kyrie,
man.
and Clay next season. I mean, look, rack up all that dough, baby.
So good.
Knees and ankles,
Uh,
all of it. We're in business, woman, right? All right,
Booming.
let's go on to the next tweet. Happy National Texas Day as Luka Dončić gets out of a Camaro wearing a cowboy hat and boots, and then that day he also got traded to the Lakers.
Yeah, that was just messed up, dude. They used him so much on social media that day, man. Like, come on.
I mean, the social media team probably was not aware of how it or what was going
Yeah,
on.
clearly.
And
Clearly.
then my next shot, another jab at Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones realizing he's not the dumbest sports GM in Dallas anymore.
he's still up there. We'll circle back again.
Oh my God.
Ain't that right? And then I believe my last
The amount of
one.
steam that just fell out of Jake's sail is insane there.
Starting to hate the episode.
Cool guys,
I'll be
thanks for
fast.
having me. Leave it.
I'm not having time.
And then my last one is we touched on earlier about Justin Tucker being a not so good person anymore, but we have Philip Rivers. No allegations, no scandals, no arrests, no drama, just some damn fine unprotected coitus and just his 9 children that he has to show proof for it.
Yep.
So yeah, that's all I had.
Just one fine used Costco card.
True. True.
Big old
They're
minivan.
Probably
big old
Sam's Club as
minivan
well.
buying in bulk. They're probably executive members. They've got it all locked in. I
Yeah.
have no
Oh yeah.
doubt.
No one by
Well,
name.
into my world of worst tweets this week, I come to you guys with only fire, only best stuff. So my first one is a tweet about Clayton Kershaw. Again, obviously everybody knows I support the boy going into our last season. If
Thin
Clayton
here.
Kershaw allowed 139 earned runs before he records another out, his ERA on his career would still be below 3.0. That is just insane. And again, that's just nowhere near in the realm of possibilities. He is the active leader right now in career ERA when it comes to pitchers in the MLB. Realistically, one of the only players in the dead ball era that's even on the list. So again, we're talking about one of the greatest pitchers of all time, 2 times World Series champion, 10-time All-Star, the MVP, the Triple Crown, the Cy Youngs. Clayton Kershaw, we love you, and I can't wait to see the artwork you put up this season.
What's
It's gonna be awesome.
what's his ERA in the playoffs?
Don't talk to me. All right, and on to my next one.
Oh,
I
shit.
found so on the next one that I had. Oh wait, there we go. So I saw this, and again, I feel like all of social media was just picking on the Mavericks this week, but I saw this tweet that says David Stern coming back from all the veto the Luka trade, obviously infamous for vetoing the Chris Paul trade. So again, I still don't understand how everything ended up going down, but we'll see how the cookie crumbles, I guess, on that. But that's what I got for us this week.
Yeah, mine is again just I think it's just still hammering down on my worst best is still just people thinking this gives Jerry Jones a clean bill of health as GM. Again, I'm just going to call it now here that he's probably going to pay Micah way too late, way too much money, and hopefully you draft well
Hmm.
and not Genty because I'll cry.
I will love it though.
I will be so sad.
All right. So our favorite segment, our top five segment, Super Bowl. Who's going to lead in each category? So let's start it off with passing yards. Most passing yards. This is a tough one because you have Patrick Mahomes, who hasn't been lighting up as much as in the past. This is not the most explosive offense they've had. And then you have Jalen Hurts, who is also dual threat. So you don't know what you're going to get. So this could be a coin flip, but I think the coin leads flipping to Patrick Mahomes because that's what he does best. He throws it down the field. That's just my take. So, Jake.
I'm riding with you, Drew. I think that there's no way that this Chiefs offense doesn't put up at least 250 yards passing. That would probably be my guess. Again, I don't know about winning the game as of right now. That might be a pick for later. But I think that when it comes to at least the passing yards for right now, it's got to be Mahomes in terms of leading between him and Jalen.
Oh, I'm going to pick Jalen Hurts because I'm a homer.
Look at you.
He did throw for a lot the last game against in the NFC Conference Championship. That was
Hey,
fun to watch, right?
I'm gonna have one eye
Uh,
on Slay, Quinion Mitchell, Cooper DeJean.
Mm-hmm.
all right, let's go to the ground game. Most rushing yards. Now, we know that the Eagles have been just slamming the ball down everybody's throat with Saquon Barkley. And why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? But you also have the three-headed monster of Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, and Samaje Perine. So I
Yeah,
think
it
the
definitely should be.
Chiefs, I think
You
the
should do Chiefs
Chiefs
by committee.
yeah, will not. It'll be Saquon. Saquon's gonna go for stupid yards. It's gonna be insane. So that's my take.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're going to be just running back with you, Drew. Again, it's going to be Saquon. This offense does not operate if Saquon doesn't get 100 yards. I think that he's going for some nuts rushing yards, but don't expect him to be too silent in the passing game too, because I think he might be able to get some sneaky little screen action. But when it comes to rushing yards, give me some Saquon action.
Yeah, I too. It's gonna be Saquon, and that's all that needs to be said.
Yeah,
Blind confidence. I love it.
just motion rushing yards, not Eagles or Chiefs, just Saquon. Boom, right there.
Bang.
I mean, it could be like, does Saquon have more rushing yards, or do the Chiefs by committee have more rushing yards?
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
an interesting one. Again, you got a three-headed monster there, but I do think that Saquon has enough in probably two quads for three running backs. So still running with Saquon.
Yep.
Most receiving yards. We have Jalen Hurts can pass it to Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, Dallas Goddard, Jahan Dotson. Almost forgot about him, right?
It
Then you
can't
Oh,
get
got
too can't forget about too many.
no, but you also have the Chiefs, Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, Justin Watson, Jake, like you mentioned earlier, huh?
oh, oh.
Who
Um,
knows?
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with the Eagles, and I think AJ Brown probably is gonna maybe get the most passing yards. That's my assumption.
Okay.
Receiving yards. I don't
Okay.
know why I said passing, but he'll be receiving those passes.
I was going to
Hey,
say that is ballsy move to go on your first take. AJ Brown's getting most passing, but hey, in the receiving world, we actually are going to be shifting a little bit. And I think that we could see some really sneaky action from DeAndre Hopkins in this game. But I think if I'm going to have to
ooh,
go with best receiving yards in this game, I think I really have to give it to Xavier Worthy. I think that he's got the home run ball potential. He's got the easy slant routes. He's become a little bit of a favorite in that offense. So give me Xavier Worthy to have the most receiving yards in the game.
I am going to switch it up and go with Travis Kelce because I think that
Mm,
if you saved him up for all of whatever you're saving him for, I think they're just going to spam the button like it's nobody's business when they're in trouble. Because I mean, it could be a game where the Eagles defense again like just stops the run, survives second down, and then it's just where's Travis? He's 12 yards down the field right there, hanging out in the little soft spot right there. Here he is. Boop. So
happens every time.
yeah, almost every time.
All right, let's go on to defensive impact. We have two great defenses. I mean, you got Chris Jones clogging up the middle. That'll be a great battle with Saquon and against that Eagles offensive line. And then you also have the the Eagles defense. You have that defensive front. You have what's Jordan Davis? Is that correct, Josh? The kid
Yeah,
from Georgia.
him and Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith
Oh yeah, Jalen Carter
all on the D
too.
line.
Your
Hmm.
your favorite Guantanamo Bay, Dijon
Yeah,
Cooper.
yeah. A pair of exciting whites, DeGene and Blankenship. Ed Reed.
I I think I did mention I did go with Saquon in rushing yards. I think the Eagles defense will stop the Chiefs rushing attack, and I think Mahomes is gonna have to put on a clinic. So I'm gonna lean towards Eagles defense. I think that's gonna be my pick as far as impact.
Okay. Okay.
Just the whole defense. You don't want one player.
Um, yeah, the whole defense.
Whole defense. Okay. Hey, well, I might have to shift those odds for you because I think we're looking for the player here. But give me, if we're talking
Oh.
about anybody,
Okay,
if we're
fuck.
talking
Well,
about,
I'll give a player then. Shit.
all right, hit me with it.
Okay, Jalen Carter because he's a bastard.
Okay. And maybe there's some bad blood in that pick almost. I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
Uh,
Um, I think that this one's a hard one, right? Because I think Drew, to your point, like Chris Jones really could be the difference maker, like when it comes to being able to be one of the only teams this year that's really been able to clog up that rushing game. I do think that again, when we talk about the whole tush push scenario and being able to just interrupt the flow of what that Eagles offense has looked like over the last couple of weeks, like that could be a huge kind of key piece to it. But I'm going to the other side. I'm going to be taking Darius Slay. And I think that it's going to be because it's going to be a little bit of an impact player because he is a guy that's able to get inside and be able to make kind of more of those those jolt pass or I'm sorry, jolt routes in on a running back and be able to make a tackle. But I think that really where we're going to see it is hopefully in some pass deflections and maybe an interception. So again, I'm going to go with Darius Slay as my defensive impact player.
I do
Um,
like it. I mean, that's that.
Not me being spiteful, but back in earlier in this in the season of the NFL on the show when Darius Slay was talking about when you guys lost to Tampa and then he was like posting his stats. You think if you guys do lose a Super Bowl, he'd be posting, "Hey, at least I got my stats in, right, guys?"
He's. I
He
mean,
could be that guy.
it's insane that he's like. Sometimes you're just like you forget that like players are cornerbacks, and you're just like, yeah, all of them are just whack jobs.
They're all crazy. That's kind of why you kind of want to take a crazy guy to make an impact.
And you know what?
No, but
Listen,
continue.
if it's spurred the run that he's been on to close the season, then no, that's fine. But yeah, I mean, a secondary member comes to mind. I almost feel like listen. I would love to pick a CJ GJ, but I think for me the big thing it'll come down to is whether or not we could if Zach Braun will be just another shutdown linebacker for them, and it's going to be a big over the middle. You can come downhill and make a run stop if you need to cover a tight end. Make sure there's a price to pay if you want to throw the ball over the middle of the field, and that's a linebacker's job. And yeah, I'm going to pick Zach Braun.
I like that.
He's kind of a throwback linebacker. Like he's huge and he's also like super fast.
Oh yeah, no, he's crazy fast. I don't even know if he has one or two interceptions this year. I remember one specifically, but yeah, listen, he's got that. The whole team's get that peanut punch, and that's a whole X factor for them.
Yeah, I know. I watched it last 2 weeks ago.
Come to Philadelphia, you're gonna get your nuts punched.
True.
All right, let's go
Yeah.
on to kicking. Kicking? Well, I want to do some kicking. We have Jake Elliott versus Harrison Bucker. Um, yeah, this one's kind of easy. Harrison Bucker. Jake Elliott's been so shaky. I don't I
He's been
mean
so bad.
field goals, extra points. Ooh, oh my God. So I'm gonna go with Harrison Bucker.
I don't know what demon energy it is, and maybe it's just me being a Jake, but I really want to take Jake Elliott in this. I feel like it's either going to be a scenario where the Eagles are able to actually put up, a decent, let's call it 2, 3 touchdowns in this game, hits an extra point or two, but then it could also be a scenario where, again, Josh, I hate even mentioning this, but if it is one of those just Chiefs demon mode games and the Eagles can't find the end zone, you could easily see Jake Elliott Elliott putting up 12 points and kicking alone in, some stalled out drives versus I just don't see that happening in the Kansas City side. So give me Jake Elliott to be the impact kicker.
Yeah, I'm probably going to have to pick Harrison Butker. I mean, just based off of percentage this year, he was 84%. Jake Elliott was more of a 77%.
Right.
Jake Elliott did have more attempts, though, which is kind of wild to look at. So, but yeah, like, listen, that stupid butt kicker is just sometimes he's automatic.
It's gross.
So.
Yeah, I know.
All right, now we go to the last final pick. Who's going to win the Super Bowl? Will we get a three-peat, or will the Eagles stifle the Kansas City Chiefs in doing so? Um, let's touch back on what I've talked about. I mean, I think you got Saquon. If the Chiefs can't stop Saquon, I think the Eagles will win. But if the Chiefs somehow figure it out, I think. I don't know. I think if the Chiefs don't have a run game, but I'm going to be spiteful and I'm going with the three-peat. Taylor Swift's getting proposed to. Travis Kelce.
No!
Not my no bet.
Yeah, that's just the way I see it.
Well, Drew, I am with you in the Pat Riley, patent pending three-peat. It's going to be one of those things where I think that we've all been hearing about it since the day that the dude got in the league, and maybe they've been saying it a little bit too much, but the dude is a fucking witch, and he somehow just figures out how to get things done. That's why I'm taking the money on him being MVP, and I'll be having money on them to win the game.
I know if and buts about it. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. We will stop you will stop the dynasty. Well, listen, pump the brakes, mister. This is our dynasty time now.
Oh, okay.
Roll the credits. Let's get out of here, guys.
Right. I love it. Plays theme music. Come on.
Oh my God.
Oh, it's
Did he actually? Okay, I guess he's gone.
I think he's gone. Yeah, no, I don't think. Oh no, he's back.
Okay, we were not in on this bit.
Hey, that was good. That was good. You got all of us.
I'm glad.
We actually thought you exited stage left. Elvis
I don't
has
know if you
left
guys
the
are-
building.
I might have kicked my water bottle over. So I'm to get a little clean up on aisle 11 over here.
Hey, well, listen, way to sell out for us. Let's hope that your water bottle and you have a little bit more luck this upcoming Sunday.
No, you aren't.
I'm not wishing that luck.
Wait, so before we head off, let's talk about what the spread's going to be look like for the Super Bowl. We've already done like a draft as far as like our game day foods, but maybe we might want to switch it up. Maybe we want to steal from our previous draft. If you haven't watched that short, you should. What's the spread looking like, guys? What are we thinking for food wise?
Ooh, that's a good question, Drew. I mean, I think that I'm always privy to making a dip, throw it in the crock pot, bring it over to a buddy's house. I think that's going to be probably the easiest thing to go about. But I could see myself getting a little crazy. Maybe find myself with some Miller Lights like you were mentioning earlier. Who knows? We'll see what's up.
Josh?
My spread will be mostly alcohol, and whether or not I'm a happy drunk or sad drunk at the end, we'll see.
Okay.
I mean, juice boxes.
I'm gonna put it in some work. I like to have like I think I'm gonna go with I don't know if I'll go the homemade route for this one, but you gotta go pigs in a blanket. I think that'll be quite elite.
Hmm.
I've been craving some brownies, so I might make myself some brownies from scratch though. So I think I'm gonna
Ayo.
go that route. And then
Yeah.
yeah, beverage of choice. I don't know what I'll be feeling, but definitely some beer, elixir of some sorts. What would it
All
be?
right.
Who
Drew's
knows?
gonna go buy a golden retriever and a Clydesdale and just hook up the Bud Light train just into the
Right.
apartment.
That's right, Bud Light, Bud Light.
Full
Um,
brand ambassador now.
And then I'm comfortably full and disgusting and be disgusted with whoever wins the Super Bowl. So,
Oh man.
Yep. First
but
comes the Super Bowl. Second comes destroying a work bathroom. Woohoo!
ain't that right? But that'll do it for the top five, and that'll do it for the show. Thanks for everybody tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it.
Super Bowl is upon us. And any closing thoughts before we head out?
Oof, nothing really, Drew. I'm excited and, hopefully want to see the people in Philadelphia just grease polls, not necessarily in, an either positive or negative way. I just want to see the polls get greased, man. I love hearing all the tweets about it. There's just so much chaos that goes on in the city, man. It's awesome.
It's a buzz.
It's a buzz. That's all I got,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, for me, it's just EGLSES Eagles, baby. Here we go.
Spoken like a true Philadelphian.
We're literate.
And that'll do it for this episode of Bros in the Bleachers podcast.
Later, bros.